All right. Hello, everyone. Sorry we're getting started a few minutes late here. If you're joining us over from the last panel, it was a great discussion. We probably didn't even get to half of the stuff that I know that those folks could help us with and could add value in terms of, but make sure you're following them all on LinkedIn, and let's dig in to writing content. So I have a couple of slides here and a bit of an activity at the beginning of this workshop session, and then we're going to dig into how do we dissect the anatomy of a great post, if you will. So we're going to start off with a bit of a activity here, and then we're going to move into the anatomy of a great post. So what I'm hoping that everyone can take a second to do here is... The music is just like totally playing in my head here. Okay, I'm going to share my screen real quick just to throw up a couple of quick slides. But in the meantime, open a Word document on your computer. Open a Word document or notes or somewhere where you can write a couple things down and save it, because we're going to work on writing your own post during this session. So get that up and running. That music is just like going to be burned into my head. Okay. Nope. Just kidding. There we go. Okay. So we are going to talk about writing great content on LinkedIn. And one of the best sources of inspiration for me for posts on LinkedIn are questions that I get. So I want to take just 2 or 3 minutes now. You all have a Word document open, or notes, or just a notepad. A legal pad will work just fine as well. A little harder to upload onto a post on LinkedIn, but it'll work. So go ahead, and I'm going to take 3 minutes here and brainstorm a list of questions that you frequently get asked by your customers or your peers, or maybe you can even think about questions that you had when you were first starting out at your company or in the industry that you work in. But just brainstorm a list of as many questions as you can think of that you get asked on a regular basis. The reason that we're going to do this is that we're going to pick one of them and use it to write a post today. But for now, like I said, just kind of brain dump. Here's, I don't know, however many you can write out in, yes, Greg, you'll have access to the slides. Go ahead and brain dump a list of all of the questions that you get asked frequently by prospects, clients, customers, peers at your company, questions you had maybe about your company or the industry when you first started. I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes here, and we'll see who can come up with the most questions in the next 3 minutes. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Did everyone have time to get a list of 100 questions? Ryan hit 101. Ryan, you're the MVP of today. Uh, Seriously, how many questions did, drop a comment. How many questions did you come up with? Seriously, Ryan? That's really impressive. That's a lot of questions. Four. All right, Mahek, that is a respectable number. One, that works too. 12, three. Okay, cool. All right. Uh, 8, 32, 8. Okay, cool. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to answer one of them. So I want you to pick one question and answer it. The question that you pick, uh, like ideally would align with one of the content pillars that we talked about in your strategy earlier on, but don't get too hung up on that. Focus on picking one question that you really get asked a lot, that you think a lot of people would find value in knowing the answer to. So pick one question, move it down to the bottom, of this list here, and then answer it. And I'm going to give you, 3 or so minutes to answer it again. It's really important to answer it as thoroughly as you can, and maybe imagine a person who's asking this question, or imagine the person who frequently asks this question, and talk directly to them when you're answering it. I know you're not talking, although you could literally, pick up your phone and record the answer to it also. But try to get some written content down there so that we can use it to work on a post. Does that make sense? Do some kind of emoji so I know that we're all on the same page here. I see one emoji, two emojis. Some people. We were a lot more active this morning. The energy is dying down a bit, but Jared is very pumped up. Okay, cool. I'm setting a timer for 3 minutes, and I will look out for everybody respond. All right, there we go. Now they're rolling in. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, 3 minutes are up. How'd it go? Did folks feel like they got some content down? Looking for something, anything. Is this thing on? Am I on mute? All right, there we go. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to share one of the questions that I was getting asked a lot and how I structured a post to answer it on LinkedIn. One of the things that, and we'll talk about this tomorrow if you're joining us at the session tomorrow, but one of the things that we know is that more so than ever before, people want to self-educate. They don't want to feel like they need to come to you to ask all the questions. They want to be able to learn about your products and services. They want to be able to self-serve information. They want to learn at their own pace. They want to be able to seek out that information themselves. So one of the things that we can do to help people along in this process is figure out that list of questions that we get asked all the time by our buyers, right? And just start answering them. But we want to do it in a way that's adding value or educating people along the way. We want to do it in a way that's agnostic to our product or service, that doesn't depend on someone buying our product or service to get value out of it. So I want you to look at your answer. Hopefully you picked a question that's not like overly specific to your product. If you did, that's okay too. But the question that I was getting asked a lot is, hey, my company is insisting that I share company content. And I keep trying to tell them that that's not the way that I'm going to win on LinkedIn. How do I communicate to my company that I'm adding value to them by sharing content that's not necessarily directly tied to what the company does? So that's kind of a long question, but I start with that question at the top of my screen. And then I answered it on some prospecting call, right? But then I answered it the exact same way I did, or, as I would if I was on the phone talking with someone. And once I do that, once I have all those sentences down, it's then really just a matter of rearranging the sentences in a way that's more compelling. What happens when we write content is that in this kind of linear fashion where we start with a question and then we answer it, what happens is that the really value-added piece of information, the aha, the big takeaway is about 2/3 of the way down the page. Sometimes it's all the way at the very end. But what we want to do is invert that structure. We want to put that really key piece of information right at the top so that people, as they're quickly scrolling through their feed or just happen across one of your posts, can know right away if the post that they're looking at is relevant to them. So they can know right away that it's worthwhile to click see more. So we want to put that aha moment at the very top and then support it with content beneath. So I'm going to share, a different screen here real quick and just show you live on LinkedIn one of the posts and how I did this. And then I'm going to ask, if anyone is brave and willing to come up on stage, share with us what your question is and what your answer is. We can live edit it. So if you are interested in, we're only going to have time to do one because, we're already running a few minutes behind schedule. But if you want to do that, go ahead and drop your question and your response in the comments, and we'll see how many we get, and we'll figure out a fairish way to decide who's going to come up on stage and work through a post with us. But I want you, as I'm showing my screen and talking through this particular post, to be thinking about what you wrote and start to think about how you can structure your content in a way that is similar to this, because I would really, really, really love for everyone to walk out of this session with a post that they can go share on LinkedIn right now. How did you get your data? Ryan, I'm not sure I understand. Oh, that's your question. Got it. I was like, I don't know. How did you get your data? Sorry. Okay. Post your response down there too, Ryan. Okay, I'm going to share a different screen. Cool. Okay, we can see my screen, and I'll actually make it a little bit bigger here for you because I can tell that that's a little small. Okay, so I told you my question. I had someone who was saying, hey, my company doesn't understand that the content that I'm sharing has value to their brand, even though I'm not talking directly about my company. So that's the question I started with at the top of my page, and this is the end result. I started with help your company out by not sharing their posts. Use your LinkedIn page to help grow your business in non-obvious ways instead. As a sales leader, you can have a greater impact on your company's success by posting content about sales leadership and execution, the thing the person was posting about. How? By attracting and engaging curious, talented salespeople, people who wouldn't have known about your company or ever considered applying otherwise. Building a world-class sales team will do a lot more for your company than sharing an article about a new product or feature that they've just released. Another example would be sharing ideas, tips, or research that will help your customers do their job better. This does not need to be tied to anything that your company does. In fact, people will be drawn to learn more about who you are and what your company does simply because you're consistently sharing content that helps them out. The through line here: focus on sharing content that's authentic to your interests and career, then find ways to leverage the things you care about to help your company be successful. I don't remember who asked this question in the last session, but somebody was asking, hey, how do I post about something if I don't care about it? I don't think you should. I think you should post about the things that you really care about so that people are drawn to that, right? People are drawn to you when you're excited and passionate about what it is that you're doing. And then they go to look and see, like we talked about this a little bit when it comes to commenting on other people's stuff. If you go comment on other people's stuff, they'll be interested in you. If people see you talking about the things that you're really passionate and interested in, they'll be drawn to you. They'll be drawn to learn more about you. They'll coming back all the way to the beginning of the day. They'll be drawn to come to your profile to see more about what you do and become aware of your company that way. So I want to go over just like a couple of the elements of this here and why people post like this first, just to begin with, and why it's successful. So I started with the main takeaway here, right? Is like you can help your company by not sharing company posts, by not talking about company content. One of the reasons that this works well is, first of all, because it's one line. It's quick, it's snappy, people get the main idea instantly. Right? Don't make it hard for people to understand, especially in that first line, what it is that you're talking about. If I had said, help your company by not sharing their posts, not talking about their products, and I had done like a whole list of things, it makes it harder for people to internalize what it is that you're talking about. So you want to focus on one really simple, straightforward idea and use that idea like for people to be like, I'm going to opt in or opt out. You don't want a ton of people looking at your post that aren't relevant, right? This kind of goes back to the question of quantity, right? We don't care or maybe you do care, but I wouldn't recommend looking only at those vanity metrics, right? I would want to use this platform to really attract the right buyers at the right time. And so we're not trying to trick people into looking at our content, but we want to have something snappy and a simple first idea in this post. There's an emoji. I get lots of questions about emojis. There's an emoji in this first line. Ariel, actually, who was just speaking on the last panel, said this really well the other day, I think. Use emojis if you're comfortable using them, if you feel like they're expressive or how you would generally text or talk to people. Don't force it and don't overdo it. I think it can be obnoxious when you see like 100 emojis. There's one in this whole post, right? Like, I don't think that that's overdoing it. So anyways, first line should be short and snappy. You should be able to get what the main idea is quickly. And it should be something, this one was meant to be a bit provocative, maybe. It goes against what a lot of people think you should do. Lots of marketers are asking their people to share their company posts. So it's a little bit provocative. It maybe raises a couple of eyebrows. So that's the first thing. The second thing that, might stand out to you. And feel free if there's something, oh, Ariel's here. Oh, I love it. So the second thing is people ask a lot, hey, why do you break it out in lines like this? And here's the deal. Breaking it out in lines like this, there's a big gap space in this one. That's not necessary. You can do it if you want to, but it's not necessary. The idea is that by breaking it out in lines like this, first of all, it makes it really easy for you to go rearrange the order of the sentences like we're talking about for this exercise right now. So it makes it really easy to rearrange the structure of your post. And that's literally what I do. And we're going to do it in a second. But I take some big bulk of text, break it out into lines so that I can quickly rearrange the sentences. But the other thing that it does is that it draws your eye through the post. So when you have a big block of text, a lot of times people are like, ooh, that's too long. Not going to read that. People have short attention spans. A lot of times they're looking at LinkedIn like on their couch or after work or on the weekends. They're not trying to do work, right? They're trying to slightly more passively learn about something. So by breaking it up into lines like this, you help draw readers' eye through the post, and the white space is more visually appealing. So that's why you see people doing stuff like that all the time on LinkedIn. Again, I think it's personal, to some extent, if you're like, hey, I don't really like the way that looks, or that doesn't feel authentic to the way that I want to talk about my whatever, that's fine. All of these things, everything that we talk about, all the advice that you get should always, if it doesn't resonate, if it doesn't sit right with you, don't heed it, right? Only take advice that feels right to you. The next thing is that it's important to repeat ideas. So, you say, okay, use your LinkedIn page to grow your business in non-obvious ways. So as a sales leader, you can have a greater impact by posting content about leadership than you can by posting a bunch about your products or services. And I give another example then further down, right? Share ideas, tips, or research that will help your customers do their job better. It's important to repeat ideas 2 or 3 times throughout the post. You might have heard this in the context of some leadership training or leadership management kind of stuff. You can't say something once and expect for people to think that it's really that important. So what you want to focus on doing is repeating ideas once or twice in the post, and also repeating the same ideas in your content. So if I posted this particular post about not sharing your company's content, I think it was a few months ago now, 4 months ago, I should post about this a few more times. In fact, I have posted about it a few other times, not in the exact same way, but in a way that communicates a similar point. So if you're not repeating yourself ever, you might use slightly different wording or language, but you want to be repeating yourself to reinforce those ideas. No, not necessarily in a row. My next post might not be about this exact same thing, but maybe a week from this post, you would do something that has a similar idea. If you're not reinforcing those ideas that you're sharing, how many people in your network haven't seen, again, I'm not saying share the same exact post. I'm saying repeat the idea again, that it's okay not to share company posts. The idea that, posting non-obvious content will add value to your company. So those kind of key through line ideas, or you could even use the same question and answer it in a different way. You could use the same question and put a different spin on it in terms of what industry that someone is looking at. So those are all some ways to repeat those ideas. So a couple other just main things here, hashtags on LinkedIn, they're not as prominent as on some other platforms. Make sure if you're going to include a hashtag that you don't do more than 5. Some people say 5, some people say 10. I think the main idea is to make sure that they are relevant and useful. There's no benefit really to having a whole wall of hashtags here, like on Instagram. Your content isn't going to be circulated just on that basis. So it's less important to include a ton of hashtags here. The other thing, and there's a video in this one videos are important. When we think about sharing content on LinkedIn, I think about the text only post. So if this post didn't have a video, just the text posts as being a thing that casts a wide net. It gets circulated the most in the algorithm. So you're going to have the widest reach of content that's shared with only text. But video content is going to convert people more. So the text only posts cast a wide net. The video content really draws people in. It makes people feel connected to you. It makes people feel like they know what you're about. It makes people feel like they know you. I can't tell you how many times I get on a call with people and they're like, hey, Mackenzie. And they just like, there's no small talk. There's no, how's the weather? There's no, where are you? It's just like launching into whatever thing that the person is calling about or wanting to talk about. And then they'll stop themselves, a minute or two in and be like, oh, sorry. I feel like I know you, because I'm sharing video content that helps me communicate my passion and personality. So the best advice is to share varied content, share content that's text only, share content that has, maybe a picture or two. I think pictures are probably the least valuable for the most part format to share on LinkedIn because it's going to decrease the reach of your content. And oftentimes the images that people share don't have a ton of value to them. So if you're sharing, like if your main point is like a picture of, you like presenting at a conference or something, and the main idea is not really related to you speaking at the conference, it's just more of the subject matter, the picture may or may not help you. Especially the like really curated images that have, join my company to do this. Those posts tend to not perform as well because people put their guard up right away, right? I see something that looks kind of like marketing material and I think I'm going to maybe be sold something. And so my guard goes up and I don't want to necessarily engage with that. All right, I feel like I'm delving a little bit beyond what I intended to talk about here. So I saw that a couple people posted their questions. If anyone has a question about how to structure this, feel free to start dropping them. Ryan posted a question. I don't see her. Okay, Greg, do you want to, what is factoring? Would it be helpful if your business was paid? Greg, do you want to come up on stage and talk through your post? If you do, all you have to do is hit grab the mic, which is at the bottom, kind of center of the screen, center left of the screen. It says grab the mic. If you want to come up on stage and work through your post here, then you are welcome to. If I don't see you do that in a second, I think Ryan, you do have an answer. Greg? Going once, going twice. Okay, Ryan, do you want to come up on stage and talk through your post? All right.
Hello again.
Hello again, Ryan. How are you today?
I'm well.
For the second time.
And won't be the last, probably.
Hopefully. Okay, so tell us about your question and your response.
Sure. So the main question we get is essentially if you've ever worked or to some capacity like in the e-commerce space, people are using like MailChimp is a really familiar platform and some other ones where they want people to sign up for that 10% discount that pops up right when you get to, some site where you're buying something online. And even though it's really encouraging to sign up when they blast in your face right away, that only about, 2 to 7% on average of total website traffic opts in to their email list, which limits them to be able to send like cart abandonments and promotional emails. So we have a database of 200 million people, which means that on pretty much any US website, we can send an email to around 15 to 40% of those people with their consent. So basically doubling, tripling, sometimes quadrupling the reach of their email efforts. And the main question I get is like, how the heck are 200 million people part of your platform? right? They usually have not heard of us, safe off ad shoppers. I'm sure you guys haven't heard of us. So there's the question. And I guess the answer to that is people don't really like to sign up for a bunch of email lists. I don't know about you, but I have like 13,000 emails in my inbox right now from e-commerce websites that I've subscribed through in the meantime, like throughout the years, and I really don't anymore. So we figured, what if we could actually just send people an email based on like what they were looking at specifically, if they were interested in a specific product, without them having to opt into every brand's email list. And so we started offering people the ability to do that through safeop.com and through a publisher network of about 2,000 publishers. And so over time, around so far, about 200 million people have signed up and have basically, have you heard of like Honey before, the discount Google Chrome extension?
No, but can I ask a question real quick, Ryan?
Yeah.
Okay, so people don't, this is what I've got so far. People don't want to like get hundreds of emails in their inbox from every single brand that they've ever purchased something from, which makes perfect sense to me. I don't even check one of my emails because it's a very scary place. So people don't want that. So what is it that you have 200 million people in a database, and how does that help my company? How does that help my brand?
So since very few people are going to opt into your email list, and since a lot of the people on your website are part of our list, we can send the people that are interested in a product on your website an email, even if they haven't opted into your list. So that'll get them to open it up and land back on your website to buy it.
Okay, so I've already visited. So okay, and I remember this from earlier. I forgot to buy something, which I do all the time. I'm like, oh, I'm going to buy this. Thank gosh, if I didn't forget to buy stuff, sometimes I would be super broke. Okay, but so I forgot to buy something, and as the brand, I want to send this consumer just an email saying, hey, saw you looking at these shoes, Mackenzie. Like, still interested? Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, pretty much. And if the person doesn't type in their email or sign up for that email list, there's no way that brand can send an email for that person. And a lot of the times people are, comparing products to similar websites. So maybe just a little discount, a little 10% discount will actually pull them through and get them to be like, okay, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's just get it over with, Yeah. So we can convert a lot more people than the companies would be able to if they didn't use us.
Okay, so the idea is like the brand is missing opportunities to sell to interested customers because they're not getting their email addresses because they don't want to be on their email list, right?
Yeah.
And what is so if we think back to those pillars that we talked about, educate, inspire, entertain, obviously this is kind of like an educational post, like, or maybe it's not even educational. It's almost just like drawing awareness to the fact that this is a problem and there is a way to potentially solve it, right? Okay, so a couple of thoughts here. So I'm taking some notes, and like the main action item or thing you would want someone to do is go. What's the name of your company again?
It's Ad Shoppers, but I actually would not really want them to go there because we don't really do too much of the website. It's pretty much 100% cold outreach. We don't really even have a marketing team. So it's for them to DM me and ask for more information is really the CTA, or like at least start a conversation and be like, how do you guys do that? Or let me know more. So,
and the other piece of this value proposition is that, people, like, as a way to incentivize people to purchase their products, when I go to their website, I am offered like 10 or 25% off or whatever as a first-time user if I put my email address in, and most people don't do that. Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm just going to play around with some of these sentences with you and show you all the process really for how I go about writing these. And Douglas, totally, like, I've probably, and my marketing team is on this call, I assume. I hope they're still here. But, I almost never post a link to my company website. The call to action is really just, nothing. It's like and engage with this post. And then I have a curated list of people who are interested or who find the product or service that I'm offering interesting. Sorry. Okay. So.
Cool. I'm excited. I appreciate your help on this.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And folks, this is technically the end of this session. I know we're running a few minutes behind. The next session starts at 3:30. So if you need to take a break, go for it. If you have questions about content, go for it. The next session will definitely start on time, though. So, all right.